If your doctor handed you a prescription last month, there is a real chance that pill is quietly stealing your memory. Not quickly, not dramatically, just slowly, week by week, erasing the sharpness and clarity you have worked your entire life to protect. And here is the part that will frustrate you most. This is not some rare side effect buried in fine print. Researchers at the University of Washington tracked over 3,000 adults for 7 years and found that regular use of certain common medications increased dementia risk by as much as 54%. 54%. These are not obscure drugs your doctor has never heard of. Several of them are sold over the counter. Some have been sitting in your medicine cabinet for years. Today, we are naming all 7, explaining exactly what each one does to the aging brain, and giving you a specific step-by-step plan to protect yourself starting this week. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, and this channel exists to bring you the latest evidence-based health research designed specifically for adults over 60. If you have not subscribed yet, please do that now so you never miss what we cover each week. Now, let us get into this, because what follows is genuinely important. The first medication on this list surprises nearly everyone. It is diphenhydramine. You probably recognize it better by its brand names: Benadryl, Squil, Tylenol PM, Advil PM. Millions of seniors reach for this every single night as a sleep aid. Millions more take it during allergy season without a second thought. But diphenhydramine belongs to a drug class called anticholinergics. And what anticholinergics do to the aging brain is deeply concerning. They block acetylcholine, which is the primary chemical your brain uses to form and retrieve memories. Block that chemical consistently, and the brain does not just slow down temporarily. Research published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that cumulative anticholinergic use was directly linked to a significantly increased risk of developing dementia. The researchers were not talking about decades of use. They saw measurable damage from doses taken over just a few months. Here is what makes this even more serious. A brain over 65 naturally produces less acetylcholine than it did at 40. When you add a drug that blocks what little remains, the cognitive impact is dramatically amplified. What causes mild drowsiness in a 30-year-old causes genuine memory impairment in someone your age. This is precisely why the American Geriatric Society placed diphenhydramine on their official Beers criteria list of medications considered inappropriate for older adults. If this is in your medicine cabinet, safer alternatives exist, and we will cover those shortly. The second medication is one you or someone you love is almost certainly taking: benzodiazepines, Xanax, Ativan, Valium, Klonopin, prescribed for anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia. They calm the nervous system effectively for short-term crises. But for daily long-term use, the picture changes completely. A landmark study published in the British Medical Journal followed over 9,000 participants and found that regular benzodiazepine users faced a 66% increased risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. The researchers controlled for the anxiety itself as a variable, so this risk came from the drug, not the underlying condition. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 71-year-old who had been taking 0.5 milligram of Xanax every night for 3 years after losing her husband. By year 2, her daughter noticed she was repeating stories within the same conversation. By year 3, she could not remember appointments she had written down herself. Her new physician identified the benzodiazepine as the likely culprit and began a slow, carefully supervised taper over 6 months, paired with non-medication anxiety tools. Within 8 months of stopping, Margaret's recall had improved noticeably. Her daughter described it as watching her mother come back. This story repeats itself constantly in geriatric medicine practices across the country. Comment below. Are you or someone in your family currently taking one of the medications I have mentioned so far? Tell me what you have been experiencing. The third medication is zolpidem, sold as Ambient, one of the most prescribed sleep drugs in the world and particularly risky for seniors. Zolpidem works on the same brain receptors as benzodiazepines, suppressing your central nervous system to force sleep. But research from the National Institutes of Health shows it disrupts slow-wave sleep, which is the deep restorative phase where your brain literally clears out toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. You fall asleep faster, but the quality of that sleep undermines your brain's overnight cleaning cycle. Long-term users show measurable reductions in memory consolidation and processing speed. The FDA has issued multiple warnings specifically about zolpidem in adults over 65, recommending lower doses and strict limits on how long it is used. But here is what shocked me most when I was reviewing the full research landscape for this video. The fourth medication causing memory loss is one that almost nobody suspects. It is oxybutynin, sold as D-tropan. Physicians prescribe it widely for overactive bladder and urinary incontinence conditions, affecting a huge percentage of adults over 60. Oxybutynin is arguably one of the most potent anticholinergics in clinical use. It crosses into the brain easily and aggressively blocks the same memory-forming pathways we just discussed. Brain imaging studies have shown measurable reductions in metabolic activity in patients taking oxybutynin regularly. If you have this prescription, an alternative medication called Mirabon addresses the same bladder condition without carrying the same cognitive risk profile. That conversation with your prescribing doctor is worth having soon. The fifth medication is among the most debated subjects in modern medicine. Statins, atorvastatin, simvastatin, rosuvastatin, prescribed to tens of millions of seniors to manage cholesterol. These medications offer clear cardiovascular benefits for many patients. But a significant subset of users, and research suggests it may be as many as 1 in 5, experience what the FDA now officially recognizes as cognitive side effects, including confusion and memory loss. The proposed mechanism involves the brain's own cholesterol supply, which is entirely separate from cardiovascular cholesterol and plays a critical role in maintaining nerve connections and synaptic function. This does not mean stop your statin today. It means if you have noticed cognitive changes since starting a cholesterol medication, that connection deserves investigation and a direct conversation with your physician about your individual risk-benefit profile. The sixth medication is a class of antidepressants called tricyclic. Amitriptyline, sold as Elvil, and noripiptyline are prescribed not just for depression, but also for nerve pain, chronic migraines, and sleep disturbances in older adults. These drugs carry an extremely high anticholinergic burden, among the highest of any medication in common use. Newer antidepressants in the SSRI and SNRI families carry far lower cognitive risk. If you are currently on a tricyclic for any reason and you are over 60, ask your prescribing physician directly whether a safer alternative could address your condition equally well. Now, before I walk you through the complete action plan, I want to share one more piece of research that ties all of this together in a way that may permanently change how you look at your medication list. Scientists at Indiana University School of Medicine developed what is called the Anticholinergic Cognitive Burden Scale. They assigned numerical risk scores to hundreds of common drugs and found that seniors with a high cumulative burden, meaning they were taking multiple medications that each carry moderate cognitive risk, showed significant brain atrophy on MRI scans compared to those with low scores. Many seniors are simultaneously taking 3, 4, or 5 drugs that each carry some anticholinergic activity. No single pill looks alarming in isolation, but the total combined burden is quietly and steadily affecting memory and cognition. The seventh medication on this list surprises many people because it has an excellent overall safety reputation. Metformin, the most commonly prescribed type 2 diabetes medication in the world. Metformin itself does not have anticholinergic properties, but long-term use depletes vitamin B12, and that depletion is the hidden danger. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that nearly 30% of long-term metformin users develop a clinically significant B12 deficiency. And B12 deficiency causes memory problems, mental fog, and cognitive decline that is frequently mistaken for early dementia. The solution here is straightforward, but only if someone catches it. Frank was 68 when his physician ran a comprehensive blood panel during an annual physical. He had been on metformin for 11 years. His B12 level came back critically low. For the previous 2 years, Frank had been experiencing worsening forgetfulness and mental fog, and everyone, including Frank himself, had chalked it up to normal aging. After 6 months of high-dose B12 supplementation under physician supervision, Frank said his mental clarity felt like someone turned the lights back on. Here is exactly what you should do with everything you have just learned. First, write down every prescription and over-the-counter medication you currently take, including sleep aids, allergy pills, and pain relievers with PM in the name. Second, search the phrase anticholinergic drug score alongside each medication name to check its cognitive risk rating. Third, bring that complete list to your next doctor's appointment and ask your physician specifically to review your total anticholinergic burden. Request safer alternatives for any high-scoring medications. Fourth, if you take metformin, Ask for a B12 blood level test at your next visit. If your level falls below 300 pogs per milliliter, discuss supplementation with your doctor. Methylcobalamin form at 1,000 micrograms daily is well tolerated and available at any pharmacy. Fifth, if you currently take a benzoazepine or Zolpidem on a regular schedule, please do not stop abruptly. Stopping these medications without a medically supervised taper can trigger serious withdrawal effects. Work with your physician to reduce the dose gradually over weeks or months with appropriate support. Let me be completely clear about something. I am not telling you to abandon medications you genuinely need. Some of these drugs provide real benefits that may outweigh their risks for your specific health situation. What I am asking you to do is have an informed, direct conversation with your doctor because many of these cognitive effects are partially or fully reversible when caught and addressed early. Comment reviewing my list if you are going to look up your medications after this video. And if you have already noticed memory changes or mental fog that you suspect might be connected to something you are taking, comment notice changes below so others in this community know they are not alone in that experience. Here's what the evidence tells us, summarized in one sentence. Many cases of what appears to be age-related memory decline are actually medication-induced cognitive impairment. And that distinction matters because it means the damage can often be stopped and partially reversed. Research consistently shows that when these medications are reduced, replaced, or supplemented appropriately under physician guidance, many seniors experience meaningful improvements in memory, processing speed, and mental clarity within months. If today's information was valuable to you, please share this video with someone you care about, particularly anyone who has recently expressed concern about their memory. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because next week we are covering the 5 nutrient deficiencies that are shockingly common in adults over 60 and directly linked to accelerated cognitive decline. That video could genuinely change how you approach your daily nutrition. I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Your brain has carried you through an entire lifetime. It is absolutely worth protecting.